I'm thinking I need to do something creative today. But first, the hair. Ooh! Oh, it's just you, dosing. Hello, my son. Oh, such a son. Oh.
Twelve seconds later.
All right, so now that I've had my coffee, let's talk about what the goal is for today. I've been feeling rather unmotivated lately, and I need to express myself and make some money at the same time. So we're gonna go out to the craft store, find a item, some object of sorts, and we're going to create a fine art light painting of that object. The goal being to maybe throw it up on the Etsy store, maybe take it to the farmer's market, but the idea is I'm going to be creating a few of these over the next few weeks and having them as a gallery piece for sale. Let's go. So pretty. Let's see here. That's pretty. $3.99. Okay.
One eternity later.
I get it how I live it. I live it how I get it. Come to my I don't wanna know that, babe.
Okay, time to set up. Alright guys, now that the photography is done, I'm going to take you through the post-production. First thing I do is throw the images up here into Lightroom and cull through them, getting rid of anything I know I don't need. Next part is I'm going to color correct everything based on some presets I have for white balance. And once I export those images, I use Bridge to open them into Photoshop. Here in Photoshop, the first thing I do is start with the base layer, which is going to kind of give me a little bit of a skeleton to work off of. I'll adjust the levels a little bit, making sure the skeleton isn't too bright. I just want it to be barely visible. Once I find an image I want to start with, I'll select the area that's lit that I want to paint in, and then I will layer it on top of the master copy. And from here I can use the skeleton to know where I'm going to paint in this lit area. I found out pretty quickly that I needed to separate the subject from the background, so that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to open my background layer, and I'm going to create a channel mask so that I can keep the background separated from everything in the foreground. Now that I have my mask created, I can manipulate the background independent of the foreground, and this way when I'm painting on areas of the flowers and the leaves, I don't accidentally get any color or luminosity from the background that may have been captured in that same frame. I can also adjust the colors of my background independently, which comes very in handy when I'm trying to create a specific look. Here you'll notice that I didn't have the mask clipped to the foreground, so that's why you're seeing part of the background coming through. But all I have to do is move that layer underneath the mask and clip it, and it disappears. I'm going to speed the video up now a little bit just so we don't take too long on this, but all I'm doing in these frames is selecting areas from the original frames that are lit, layering them onto the master copy, and painting them in where I want the light. From here, once I get most of the detail into the image, I can start on some of the overall toning. I'll create a hue saturation layer that goes over the whole image. That way I can play around with different colors and tones. Originally, when I had this image in mind, I was thinking I was going to go with a more antiquated look, with more warmer tones that were faded. But that's not how it ended up turning out, and that's how a lot of my projects end up going. They stray from what the original vision is. I ended up liking the purple colors more, so I pushed in that direction to see where it took me. Using this curves adjustment layer gave me a little bit of different control over the different tones that I could work with. From here I pulled it into camera raw, made some adjustments to the vibrance, trying to desaturate a little bit without losing too much pop from the purple. I also played around with some clarity settings and painted in some highlights. Ultimately, the clarity settings proved to be too much, so I took those back. But that's why it's always nice working on a smart object, because you can always go back and you're never stuck with the changes you make. From here, some dodging and burning helps add more depth to the image, really bring out the shapes and textures of the leaves and the petals. I love using Topaz plugins. I use the Topaz Restyle here to try to give me a little bit different tonality to the colors over the whole image. I rarely ever use them at full opacity. Usually I'll be down around 30 or 40%. And finally, once I'm kind of happy with the image overall, wanted to add a little bit of texture, again, leaning towards that antiquated look. I cropped it, and then it was time to add the final presentation. All in all, guys, this was a fun project. Can't say it's my best work, but again, whenever you're stuck in that kind of creative rut, the most important thing you can do is get out there and do something. So that's what I did. That's what we'll continue to do. And thanks for joining me today. Please be sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.